Welcome to Command Control Power, a weekly podcast hosted by 3 certified members of the Apple Consultants Network, drawing from over half a century of combined experience. We talk shop, interview vendors and colleagues, and share what we've learned while operating our technology consulting practices. This is Joe Sapineri of CyMac, and my 2 co-hosts are Jerry Zigman of MacWorks and Sam Valencia of the HCS Technology Group. For the freshest content, a peek behind the scenes, and more candid conversation about running our businesses, dealing with clients, fixing tough technical issues, and everything else you love about Command Control Power, we invite you to join us on Patreon so you don't miss any of this great content. Go to commandcontrolpower.com and click support. Pledge monthly, and you can instantly subscribe to the patron-only shows right in your favorite podcast app. Once again, to join us on Patreon and get the latest patron-only episodes, visit commandcontrolpower.com and click support. We hope to see you there, and thanks for listening.
So a couple of shows ago, I wasn't around. It was just you and Sam, and you guys were talking about your calendars. And I use Calendly for my calendar, and I really took issue with how you're like Gollum with the ring to rule them all, my precious, with your calendar links. And you don't want people to schedule stuff without you knowing about it and not having your day be interrupted. You guys are smart enough to know that you can put all these restrictions on your calendar so you don't have to be beholden to somebody who books you within 12 hours or 24 hours or 36 hours. You can set that criteria. And I understand you have teams and there's a number of people involved in your organization. So it does change the recipe a little bit for how you handle people just going on your calendar. But for me, Army of One, I've got my calendar. It's a public calendar on my website, and it's also in my signature, and anybody could click on that and find a date. I make restrictions for my remotes versus my on-sites. So my on-sites, there's one potential on-site in the morning, one potential on-site in the afternoon. And sometimes if I know I have busy family things coming up and stuff like that, I'll just block out those days so those calendar dates aren't available. But for me, it adds structure and order to my day. And it also gives me a flexibility and an opportunity to help people on the fly. I just couldn't understand, and I'm sure you'll both respond with your own reasoning and background as to why you covet the link and you want to make the link private. But I think it would be really refreshing and eye-opening for you to open up the barn doors, guys. Let people schedule some sessions, and maybe it'll open up the coffers, the cash coffers a little more.
Yeah, I get that. I do think it comes down to like maybe 2 things for me. One is the issue you're getting at where I just want to have more control over my calendar and I want some predictability. And I realized that I could achieve a lot of that. And I have it set up this way. I use Harmonizely, part of Simply Meet, and that does let you set all those parameters. Like you can say before an on-site visit, it has to be scheduled so many hours or days in advance, and you need a certain buffer between appointments. So it has to have padding around that on-site appointment, for example. Same thing with a remote. You could have that type of meeting type in Harmonizely where you say a remote can be scheduled maybe with a little bit less notice and different hours and less of a buffer and all that stuff. And of course, you can have all the different lengths of meetings as well. You can have, in my case, we have it set up for a 15-minute, 30-minute, 60-minute, 90 minutes for remote. And then I have the on-site is 2 hours because that's our minimum on-site. So we have all this stuff set up and I've put some guardrails on it and I'm pretty satisfied with that. But I don't think I want clients to just save that link and then
here we go.
So here's what it comes down to. Let's say I haven't heard from a client in a year, and then suddenly there's something that just appears in my calendar because they've saved the link and now they're using it to just schedule something. They're jumping the line a little bit, or they're coming out of the woodwork just to jump on my calendar. That's one aspect. And I think part of that is that I've thought it could be a value add for my monthly plan clients. Maybe I could achieve that by having like a step in the scheduling process where a checkbox, please confirm you're a current Mac Prime subscriber, or you could have just a little boilerplate thing that says this is only for our monthly plan subscribers or whatever. So I guess I could still implement that, but I haven't decided yet if this is how I want to just do all my scheduling and just welcome all clients, or if I want to make it a feature of my monthly plan. So that's one aspect. The other aspect is triage. So I think for me, I just want there to be some kind of dialogue that happens first, like where the client reaches out and says, this is what's going on. And I'll say, okay, sounds like we just need a 15-minute call to do whatever. Or, oh, we really need to schedule an on-site for this, or whatever the case may be. I just think there needs to be a little bit of triage first. And so, yes, maybe that could be part of the scheduling, like the page they see when they click the link, or the little email confirmation they get after they schedule something. And also, I think to your point too, Jerry, I've heard you say this before, that you can also just cancel the appointment. Somebody could put something on your calendar and you can say, nope,
Right.
that's the wrong way to handle this. Or who are you again? It could be like any response like that. Yeah, I think it's a fair criticism, and that's just my thought process on it.
Sam, I want to hear your take on this, but let me just respond to Joe. I hear you. It's your ball, so you make the rules, right? When you do have this calendar, don't take offense to this, but when I hear somebody coming out of the woodwork like, how dare you use my coveted calendar link and think you could just waltz, think you could just waltz in here and schedule a job with me? I object.
Who do you think I am? A service provider?
Yeah. Exactly. So there's a little bit of that, just a little bit. If I have somebody just come out of the woodwork and schedule something, hold on. And I put the brakes on that. The phone number's in there. I reach out to them and I'm like, hey, what's going on? Let's talk about this. Maybe I want to send them the Watchman link and have them install Watchman just to do that health check on their computer,
right,
and then cancel the appointment and say, look, let me review this. Let me cancel this appointment. I'm going to review the data that I get back from Watchman, and we're going to talk about this again. And so you've got the dialogue flowing, but at least you've lubricated the wheel a little bit. The worst thing you want to do is schedule an on-site or remote appointment, and then you just get on the phone with them and, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Your machine's from 2007, and this is ridiculous. Yeah. So like I said, when you drive your calendar, however you make that available, you totally make the rules. So there's no one who's going to twist your arm or Sam's arm and make you do something on a Friday that you don't want to do. It's just like, you could say no.
Yeah.
So
that's definitely fair. I think for
my precious.
Yeah, but it comes down to, so where and how to use that link. And for me, I think I don't want to have it published on my website. This is how you get help. Or in my email signature, every email that I send has an invitation to schedule something with me. And to your point, that sounds a little funny that I'd be so restrictive with it, but I do use it, just to be clear. So I do send it out to a client when the next step is to schedule something. Mm-hmm. I will use it in those cases. Okay, let's schedule a 1 hour remote or whatever it is. But I think another place that I might consider using it is for the new client coming in. Part of our onboarding process, I've thought about this, like, how do I put this on my website? What's the call to action? It's oftentimes talking to them by phone or connecting with them in some way. And so the invitation is for them to, schedule an appointment. Imagine that. We have this tool that works perfectly for doing that. So I think that could be a very valid use for me, is to put the specifically like the link to, maybe it's a hidden appointment or just a specific type of appointment that's 15 minutes free evaluation kind of thing for a new client, prospective client call or whatever, something like that. But yeah, Sam, what do you think about this whole criticism we're facing here from Jerry?
Hypercritical criticism.
I've had some time to stew on this a little bit while you were talking, Joe, and I have some thoughts. First of all, it sounds like a joke, but I think I don't like people a whole lot to let them choose my calendar options and let them pick times to speak with me. I do covet my calendar, Jerry. I do.
You're playing right into Jerry's hand. This is too much.
But to what you just said, Joe, I do have an introductory calendar where I have initial 30-minute meeting, although I'm thinking of doing it like speed dating, where it's like a 60-second intro and you get 1 minute to tell me who you are and what you're about, and I'll see if I like you. That would actually be awesome. But I think I learned a few things, like you can have a link that is unique and can expire. So you don't have that link that sits out there in someone's mailbox one day and they look it up. But for me, and I think this is the difference that I think, at least in my capacity and work, is I do a lot less triage and tech support and more project stuff. All right, here's a job that I can complete over the next couple of weeks, and I'll work on it on my own time. And if someone just challenges let's say I know I can block out time, but let's say I have some time that I want to tackle something, and all of a sudden the invite pops up on my calendar, I'm going to be a little bent about it. I'll be honest with you. But I hear what you're saying, Jerry. You can block out the times, you can do all this, but I guess what I'm saying is maybe part of it is for me that I don't do as much of the on-the-fly tech support. So perhaps I do have a situation where I don't want to give it out and don't have a need to give it out as much.
Okay, this may not be a solution for Joe, but it may be a solution for you, Sam. Is there someone else within your organization that can be the keeper of the calendar and respond to those calendar events?
Yeah. And you know what's funny about that? So I signed up Matt and Sammy on my team. And
I love little Sammy.
Yeah. And Matt, who's been in the game a lot longer than Sammy has, he's been in it for a while now. He's acting just like I was. I don't really want to give this out. I don't want so-and-so customer to pick my time. And I'm actually trying to convince him to put it out there. It's ridiculous because I'm not practicing what I'm preaching here.
Yeah, it's your company culture now.
Yeah. It's me. It's my fault. I'm the bad seed in the company that's spreading that.
I think I know where this comes from because both of you guys are like Apple guys, and not that I'm not an Apple guy, but Apple kind of likes a lot of secrets, especially in the old days when Steve was around. So maybe this is just like super secret squirrel stuff.
Could be.
We've heard from Jerry, we've heard from me, and we've heard from Sam. I think we need to hear from listeners now. So let's put Jerry's calendar link in the show notes, and you can schedule a 15-minute call and tell Jerry what you think about this calendar recommendation he's making here.
I actually love this. Let's do it. I'm going to find your link. I do the show notes, so I'm going to find your link and put it in there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Come one, come all,
So here's a PSA for any of you ACNs that are listening. Apple has 2 certifications. So that's something that you want to bring your attention to, because if you put any stock or any validity in the ACN locator, if you don't have that Apple device support exam, if you do a zip code search to find your company, you're not going to come up at the top of the listing. You're not going to bubble up, even if you did a zip code search in the city where you have your business. You're actually going to have another company that might be multiple cities away come up as the first listing if indeed they have the Apple device support exam certification. So you definitely want to start hitting the books right now. Both of them are, from what I understand, are very difficult to do in terms of memorization and really knowing your stuff. I did take the Apple device support exam, and that was interesting because it is a proctored exam. So it's through the Pearson testing service. So you would log into your Apple certification portal, and once you're ready to take the test, it brings you over to Pearson. And some of those requirements have changed. In years past, when we would take these exams, they weren't proctored exams, which basically means that there's a live person who checks in with you, wants to see where you're taking the test, wants to have pictures of your surroundings so that you're not using any books or any electronic devices, and you have to leave your camera on during this 2 hours that you're taking the test. So these are all new things that weren't requirements in the past. And in me proceeding to take the test, I had a discrepancy with my name. I was listed on the ACN certification page as Jerry. My legal name is Gerald. So I reached out to Apple. They were able to change that up, and now I'm listed as Gerald with a G. But when I clicked over to Pearson, I was still listed as Jerry. Before you take your test, you have to hold up a license to the proctor to prove that you are indeed the person who's registered to take the test, so that if you had some smart guy like Sam Valencia, you couldn't have him come in and take the test for you because he has to hold up the license and they match the face to the blah, blah, blah. So you have to be who you say you are. So this is a problem because the name Gerald doesn't match with Jerry. So I reached out to Pearson to get my name changed to Gerald. You would think if Apple did it so quickly that Pearson would do it just as quick or maybe within a day. It was an unbelievable process to get my name updated on the Pearson website. And I had long conversations with a second tier support professional, let's call them, from Pearson. And I said, wait a minute, Apple's your customer. Apple's having you administer these tests for them. So they're paying you to do this, and we're paying you to take the test. So I had to send them a license and a passport through email, which I don't normally like to do. The last thing you want to do is send personal information like that via email, but that's what I needed to do with Pearson to get this done. It literally took a lot of begging, a lot of, let me talk to your supervisor. and me saying, look, guys, I don't understand what's going on. What's going on? How come you can't do this? Oh, we have to call another department. And you have everything. Can you confirm you have everything? Yes, we have everything. We have your license here. We have your passport. I'm like, okay, change the name. Change the first name from Jerry to Gerald. I got them to do it, but there was a lot of bloodshed. It was a lot of bloodshed.
I think it's shocking that Pearson requires you emailing sensitive information. I know you had to do it, right? From your perspective, you already knew the security implications, but it's shocking that's their method.
I understand the legality of it. If we ever got audited and we just can't do this because someone tells us to do this, and I understand all that. But I said, Apple did it. How come you can't do it? I didn't need to prove who I was to Apple. You could see my history of taking tests with you. What's going on here, guys? So anyway, that's a PSA. You got to make sure that everything matches on your ID because there's going to be a proctor there when you take the test, and start studying up, folks.
A couple of things. One, I know that just not to harp on this too much, but just the method, I think, is my issue, that they required you sending sensitive information. That part shocks me a little bit, but I agree with what you said. The tests are hard, and your experience in the field doesn't exactly equate to just flying through the test. So it's just something to be mindful of. And I think it's a good PSA, Jerry, just to keep people aware and let them know to, at least use the practice exam that's out there and look at the links that it associates with and all that stuff. So you can feel like, all right, maybe I do have a handle on this, or I have some studying to do. And then you can at least be as prepared as possible when you walk in that virtual door.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that was interesting, what you pointed out, was that they are ranking the search results based on whether you have these certifications, also de-ranking the, consultancies who are still members of record and meet all the current requirements, but we're just ranked lower if we haven't passed those tests yet and gotten those certifications. That is a great PSA for listeners. I didn't even realize that myself. That was already an effect, that you're already like down ranked because of that.
So segueing from calendars to text messaging, I've shared with you folks on the show that we use text messaging quite heavily in me executing my work and clients contacting me. It's not a preferred method, but it helps to move the ball down the field. So that's what we do a lot of. And I would really like to take advantage of Apple Messages for Business. Is that what it's called, guys?
I'm looking at search results here, and Apple has two different pages for this. So the business to business side of this is called Apple Messages for Business. So that's what they want you to sign up for. But then the customer facing thing says iOS business chat, a whole new way to talk to companies. So I don't know why they have two different, these are both live pages right now. So you can either call it business chat or messages for business. Pretty generic.
So it's pretty slick, as we've, I think, all privately observed. If you have a company that's not a bricks and mortar company, you can't really tie it in with the maps, which is a downside for me. And I know that it probably won't work for Joe, maybe sometime in the near future. And Sam, you said you can't do it either, right?
Yeah, not where I am in Connecticut.
So the only thing we'd really be able to take advantage of is the chat. But I think from all the investigation that we've been doing, and we had, of course, on the show, John Brown, who's using the Haymarket service, haymarket.com, spelled H-E-Y market.com, but it's quite costly. Joe, it's a significant number per month to invoke this service.
Yeah. In order to get set up with Haymarket, there's a minimum of 2 users, which is fine for me. I have 3 users. In order to have their integration with, first of all, SMS is an additional add-on. So that's $30 per month additional. And in order to use Apple Messages for Business or Business Chat, whatever it's called, you need their Plus plan. So it's $39 per user per month. So not the entry-level standard plan for $19 per user. It's $39 per user per month, plus the add-on for SMS, which I also need, is another $30. So it's not inexpensive. For me, for my 3-person company, it's $147 a month just to get started with having this kind of presence, basically, for group SMS messages and also Apple Business Chat.
And you get directions to the cleaners, because once you pay that amount, you're taken to the cleaners.
Yes.
So what's a guy like us to do? Anyone out there that has something that is suitable for the one person shop or the 2-person or the 3-person and not have us go to the cleaners, we would love to hear what the service is. Because I've tried to Google this and I've spoken to companies and they just don't know.
It's funny. You recommended one through our just group chat at one point a few weeks ago, and I went to their website. I presented what I was looking for. This company advertises business SMS and all these different services. It seems like it's exactly what we're looking for. They even include Apple Messages for Business or Business Chat. And I went to their website and I get a little chat pop up on there. I'm like, oh, great. This SMS chat company is popping up a chat message. This is all seeming great right now. And so I just put it in the little chat there. It's a little AI thing. It's not a human, but you put in there and it says, what do you need help with? And I said, oh, I need help deciding if this is right for me for business SMS and Apple Messages and whatever. And they're like, great. Okay, what's your name? So I put in my name and what's your email? What's your phone? Fine. I give them all this information. And they said, we'll be right with you. So I'm like, okay, this is great. I had all this stuff laid out. I had my questions ready to go. And I'm waiting and nothing. I'm waiting over nothing. So I'm doing something else. Check back on the website. No response. Nothing. I just write, hello? Question mark. Maybe just like popped at the top of the list or something. And nothing. I'm like, this does not bode well. Like they supposedly offer all these services that I'm looking for, and they have this little chat feature on their website, and I can't even get a human here to just simply answer very basic questions about what they offer as services. The next day, I get an email from them with like my messages to them, which clearly lays out what I'm asking for help with. It has all my info and my questions laid out. And at the top of that email from them with my information in it, asking for help, they say, what do you need help with? And I'm just like, okay, forget it. Like, it's like in the email that you sent me, what I'm asking you, like what? So I gave up on it. But yeah, I'm in the same boat here. We're looking for a company. In my case, I might even just settle with group SMS at this point, because Ring Central, my phone provider, supposedly offers that. And there's various threads on their site where people are clamoring for this going back years, where I want to be able to send a text message from my main company phone number, which we all use for voice. It's all of our incoming calls go to this number. They can press our extension and get us. We can dial calls out from that number. That's like the whole point of having a VoIP service for me. And I thought that you could do the same with SMS, and you can't. And so there's no way to send an SMS message to a client from my main company phone number. So that's the main thing I'm looking for, so that if I send a message to a client, and because sometimes it's easier to just text than to email or call, I want that response from the client to go back to the group, the main number, so that somebody on my team can refer to that and pick up where I left off or whatever. When a client sees that message and they want to get help in 2 months, they can write back a group SMS to our main company number. So those are the features I'm looking for. And through talking with John Brown, our colleague and supporter, and some other colleagues, I realized you can do that. You can actually have your SMS service hosted by a completely different provider than your VoIP phone service. So I may just keep Ring Central and switch to a different provider for SMS only, forget about Apple Business Chat or Messages or whatever, or I may switch to an entirely new VoIP provider that does support group SMS to the main company number. So that's specifically what I'm looking for.
But I think we got on this whole rift because we like we'll call it the wrapper that Apple Chat puts around it. It's very slick. It looks more professional. It looks like you're more part of the Apple ecosystem.
Yeah, that's true. And the way I was imagining that working was that, okay, so somehow that is connected to my phone number, my main company phone number, but it's not. It's actually its own separate, totally separate thing. Some of these services, I think, can integrate across different channels, I guess they call it. So you could have the SMS channel funneling into your portal where you do all your group chats, and you could have your Apple Messages for Business channel funneling into the same thing. So they can integrate across those different channels. But it's not like iMessage in the sense that when I register my iPhone phone number with iMessage, now it's seamless. Like I can send a message, I can send an iMessage right from my phone number. And if my friend can send me an iMessage to my phone number and it comes in with a nice blue bubble. The Apple Messages for Business is essentially like it can just be a link on your website that a client would go to and they'd click it. And then now they're able to send you a message through the Messages app. And it has, like you said, your branding, your color scheme, your logo, all that stuff is great. But it's not like they can just open Messages and text your company phone number and now they've got your branding. No, that's just a standard SMS still. So that's why I'm thinking, I don't actually know if I need the Apple Messages for Business. I could probably just deal with standard old SMS.
When we first had that conversation with John Brown, I wasn't exactly on the bandwagon because I was talking Slack and things like that. And I guess I didn't realize talking about more on the Apple Business Chat side or Messages for Business in how it looks very slick. Now, I agree with you guys. Price point is boxing me out. I'm not there. I can't pay that for some chat services that maybe a few people will use. But I had an experience recently where I was traveling and I actually booked my car reservation at the wrong airport. So I realized that as I was getting off the plane, oh no, I don't have a car. It's at the wrong place. So I needed to quickly chat with Hertz. And I went to their website from my phone and it's like, hey, do you want to chat with us? And I said, yes. I put in a message like, hey, I need to cancel my reservation and move it. And when I hit send, it took me into Messages for Business and it went into my Messages app and it had the Hertz logo at the top and it looked very professional. And I was like, this is fascinating. I was like, I'm in. This is super cool. And I didn't realize, I think, because I had never really seen it in action. And now, of course, I want it. But based on you guys doing the research, I'm not paying $150 a month for it, though. That's the thing. And that's the minimum, right?
So I had a similar experience. I think mine was with JetBlue at one point a couple of years ago. I'm like, oh, this is a new thing. This is cool. And just like you, the way I got there was like, I think I went to their website and tried to get support and then it directed me there. And it was pretty slick. It was an Apple user ? Get support right in Messages. I'm just like, oh, cool. So I did that and it was cool. It was great. Yeah. But it's a major company. You're just going to look them up when you need help. You don't have them in your contacts, whatever. My clients have my company in their contacts or my name, or it's going to say Joe Computer or something like that in their contacts. And it has my office phone number saved. And so they're going to tap on that and they're going to either call my phone number or they're going to send a text message to that number like they sometimes do. I don't know that they're going to go to my website and even if I put it right on the homepage or something where it's get support now through Messages, however I wanted to word that, they'd have to go to my website first. And I don't think that most of my current clients are going to find their way to Messages for Business, that channel. I think they're just going to text me from their contacts. And it's not going to, again, when I was first imagining how this would work, I thought like it would be the same as iMessage. You would like register your main company number for this service. And then suddenly your clients can just like text you, but then it turns into this beautiful looking Messages interface. But no, it's just a standard SMS text message if they initiate it through texting your office phone number. I don't think you can initiate a Messages for Business with your client that direction. I think they have to initiate it from their side. So again, I just think this would probably, for my size company, not be that useful. Maybe for new clients coming in, it would give them a good impression. They get to my site, they chat us up through iMessage. If we're available at the time, they see our branding. That's pretty cool. But again, like current clients, I don't know that they would end up using that. I guess I could put it in my email signature, the link to message us through iMessage or whatever. But
hey, maybe both you guys could sign up for it and then hide it.
It's one more thing to covet. Yeah.
I'm not comfortable with people just coming along and sending me chat that I didn't solicit.
Touche, Jay.
Jerry does his voices of customers of all kinds.
Am I on the cloud?
Joe spins his deeply detailed yarns all the time.
I have a whole story about this.
Sam is on the road again, phoning in from a hotel.
At least we know where I am.
Half a century combined of Apple expertise right now. Right now. My Mac is slow. Have you tried restarting? Well, the fans won't blow. Have you tried restarting? But my data is gone. Have you tried restarting? I dropped it